Everyone, it's 11 minutes past 9 o'clock right now. Welcome back to the program. Lou and Jackie here, along with our friend that will take us through the world of movies. Jackie?
I love it. Nathan McVeigh joining us, our Cinemaniac this morning. Okay, so as we're looking back at some classics, we saw that one particular movie over the weekend did pretty well.
Yes, it did.
I was surprised Pet Semetary did as well as it did, because I remember the original, and I was like, really? We're remaking this?
Yeah, like I mentioned last time, I saw that movie way too young. I was very, very young, and I never looked at cats the same way.
It just had an effect on you, but not the way you thought it was going to.
I still don't trust those animals. Dogs are fun, but that's probably what did cats in.
Yeah, okay. Anyway.
So yeah, it did wonderful, and I was like, okay, this is a really good time to talk about the best Stephen King movies that have come out.
Okay.
And we're talking about a movie that you know pretty well.
Okay.
Explain why.
Back it up, because it's a musical.
Now, wait till you hear which movie she's talking about. Maybe you didn't know it turned into a musical.
Yeah, Carrie.
Carrie
they made it into a musical, and it's one that didn't do well off Broadway. I think it has fantastic music, and it is filled with gore and lavish things that happened on stage, which you almost don't think could happen. So I love it because of that. Probably not because of what
there's
Stephen King's
definitely
original.
a lot of gore in the film itself. Yeah, it's potential. 1976 was when the original Carrie came out. It has been made into a musical. It also was remade a few years back. This film is as demented as it can get. It's basically, I would say, probably every high school girl's worst nightmare come to life. A lot of plot details in this movie that I probably shouldn't describe at 9 a.m. on network television. But it's outstanding. Still scary today, as you see it. Sissy Spacek. This is a few years ago. She's still doing good work now. I think this is probably the best thing she's ever done.
Really?
Really? That's kind of discouraging to her.
Oh no! I mean, it's good.
Okay.
She's believable as a demented.
I know, but since then, it's been since 1976.
I really feel like that's probably what laid the path for her to do such great stuff. This movie is terrifying still today. It's maybe the least happy ending of a movie I've ever seen. Stephen King is very good at unhappy.
One of these movies where you leave and go, no, that wasn't the end. That wasn't the end.
Yeah, but it's Stephen King, and that's probably where he wants to leave you. There's also a movie we're not talking about today. It's called The Mist, which I think rivals with the least happy ending I've ever seen in a movie. But that's what Stephen King loves to do. He loves to not necessarily satisfy the audience member, but it's also nice because you get a very unique experience. Another one that is probably just as famous, it's one of my favorite horror films of all time, that is The Shining. It's so
I've seen that one too.
good.
Okay, we're on a good roll.
We're on a roll. That wasn't even turned into a musical.
It wasn't.
Yet.
But normally I do not entertain myself with horror because I don't like being scared. But I know so many people out there, they love that thrill.
And this is probably maybe the most iconic horror film when you think of all the things that have come from it. From Red Rum to all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All of these things are outstanding. Jack Nicholson is so good. Just even in this trailer when you see him, you're just like, oh, he is evil. So many iconic scenes come from this film, whether it's the twins or the blood rushing down the hallway or the lady in the bathtub, which is another thing, not a fun thing to think about at 9:15. A really interesting thing about this film is there was a documentary that came out. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I had no idea.
It's called Room 237. And the entire documentary is about how this film, a lot of people think that it's like an allegory or a metaphor for society. And so the entire documentary is about different things it can stand for. Like one of the theories is this is talking about how the moon landing is fake and how Kubrick was the one that directed it. And there's all these hints in there. There's another one where it's kind of like a metaphor on the mistreatment of Native Americans, and then like a metaphor on genocide. And so it's like an hour-and-a-half documentary.
Well, you have people that had way too much time on their hands.
For sure, and it's crazy. I watched it and I was like, this is crazy. But it's really cool that a film can come and then just in that source material, there's so much that people delve into, and it kind of shows the brilliance of The Shining. So the next one's a little bit more recent. The film version, the feature film version.
The newest one. Okay,
because the original film,
it was on TV, right?
Yeah, that was a miniseries.
Okay.
And this was just made 2 years ago in 2017. It's outstanding. It's a very nice take on kind of what they worked on the miniseries and what worked. But this is just the first chapter. The second chapter is actually coming out later this year.
Okay, now this is the movie for those people that can't quite place which movie it is. It's the one that made people afraid of clowns again?
Yes.
Okay.
If there ever was a time when they stopped
Pennywise,
being afraid of clowns. You know, honestly, my favorite thing about this movie is it's much more about just being afraid of clowns. It kind of delves into just the idea of fear itself, and it kind of follows each of these kids, and it kind of manifests itself in all of the different fears of all the kids. Well, only one kid is afraid of clowns, but just by watching this movie, it kind of makes everyone terrified of clowns. This scene in particular, yeah, it's good. The kids in this film are so good. It just blows my mind how they can find these kids that are so good at being so scared and just good kids. And I'm really excited. The new cast of the second version of the kids growing up, and they actually have really famous actors. Jessica Chastain's in it, and Bill Hader's in it.
Really?
And yeah, so like
Well, Hader's really getting around, isn't he?
I was actually just listening to a podcast where he said he's like, I have to do that movie. I don't care how much they'll pay me. Like, I have to do it. And so he's good. He's one of the kids from the original Grown Up, and I think it's going to be really, really good. And then finally, this is my favorite Stephen King movie, and it's not scary at all. I guess it depends on your definition of scary, but Shawshank Redemption. It is a classic film from 1994 about someone who was found guilty of murder of two people, who proclaims his innocence, but unfortunately gets charged guilty in the court of law, goes off, makes the best friend in the world with an amazing Morgan Freeman. This was kind of the start of Morgan Freeman having the greatest voice in the entire world.
Right.
True.
It was like
Voice of God, yeah.
For sure, and then it just all went from there. This is a wonderful, wonderful film about determination, survival, overcoming adversity. Tim Robbins is so good. This film won Best Picture. It's Frank Darabont, who's gone on to make really, really great films since then. It's one of my favorites. It's just a really, really great story.
So it sounds like easily, hands down, if you had to pick one, that this would be the one.
Yeah, and it's also nice. It's a movie that you can watch before you go to sleep, and you don't have to worry about nightmares. I guess if you don't want to be afraid of being found guilty for murder for something you didn't do. I guess that's always on the table if you put yourself in bad situations. But yeah, no, it's good. And that's the thing, is there's so many good Stephen King films. When I was doing research for this, like, you type them in and it's like 50 of them that have gone. And there are really good ones I didn't mention, from, The Mist, like I said before, Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fun one.
Right.
Yeah, there's tons that just
Now,
even Misery is a great one too.
Being the movie buff that you are, and then you have these movies that are on your best list. Do you ever go back and watch these movies again, or how do you rewatch these movies?
Yeah, you just put them on. It's kind of nice to get these, but the really nice thing about this is every single movie I talk about you can get at Video Warehouse. It's our wonderful sponsor for this segment. And I like to revisit these, and this has been a really nice excuse to kind of go back.
Do you find new things you may have missed the first couple of times you saw the movie?
Yeah, definitely. And as we delve into this, it's a really great opportunity to kind of go in to search things that I haven't seen before.
Right.
And like next week, we're talking about the best golf movies.
Oh, it's an easy one.
Yeah, it should be. But there's a few golf movies I haven't seen. Like, I'll admit it. I'm sorry, I might lose my aficionado. I've never seen 10 Cup.
Oh, I have to laugh.
You're laughing at me for not seeing movies. No, you're good.
That's a line from a movie.
There you go.
A golf movie.
There you go. See, so you do know a golf movie. So next week I expect to hear your favorite.
No, there's no question.
I can tell you what that is right now. But I love the idea. One, I didn't remember that Stephen King did Shawshank, so it's fun he's just an incredible writer, and there's ways of getting in people's minds without necessarily always having to be gory and bloody. Not that he doesn't give that to you at times,
for sure.
But I enjoy his movies, and I'm able to watch his because of the entertainment and the way people are talking and what situations they put you in, as opposed to you're gonna die.
His best horror, I think, stems from psychological.
Exactly.
Thank you. Think about it. Yep.
Anyone can, show blood and guts and then make you shake, but it's the idea, like Carrie, what we talked about before. The scariest thing about that is that alienation. Everyone dealt with
emotions
that in high school of not being accepted and how terrifying that can be, and so that's why it works, and that's why Stephen King just knows what buttons to press.
I love it.
So if you want to get these movies, what did you say? The best place to go?
Video Warehouse.
Yeah,
everything
have
and
them.
more. Yeah, these films are not all on Netflix, which is what most people do.
Right.
But you go here, they're all there. You get to walk through, pick them. Even look at the Stephen King movies I didn't see, and if there's one I didn't mention, come to Iowa Live Facebook's page, yell at me.
Comment. Please do.
How could you forget this one?
That works. Well, thank you so much,
My
sir.
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Great job as always. It is.